Hello, Patriots. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for Kentucky news and analysis from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. Well, today we're coming to you directly from the grounds of the beautiful Kentucky State Capitol building. The reason for that is the legislature is in emergency session this week. We'll tell you about what's going on here in just a second. But as long as I'm here on the grounds, allow me to invite you to come up to the Capitol building sometime. I've worked up here for years, and I love to have different groups come up and give them a tour of the building to teach you about the rich heritage of our Capitol, our Christian heritage here in Kentucky. It's absolutely free. I don't charge a cent for it. Great for school groups, church groups, patriot groups. If you'd like to arrange one of these tours, just send me an email at lee.watts.kentucky@gmail.com. And it'll be a wonderful outing, and we'll see if we can arrange for you to meet with your senator and your representative while you're here. A great way to make a strong republic. Let's talk about some of the things going on right now. First of all, the legislature is in emergency session. The reason for that is they're only allowed to make laws during the legislative time of year, which ended in mid-April. So they want to make some new laws that would help the flood victims over in eastern Kentucky. And that necessitates an emergency session. So they'll be going throughout the remainder of this week. And they want to accomplish two major things. One, they want to pass a law that would allow some special emergency funds to go to the people in eastern Kentucky to help them in their rebuilding and relief efforts. Number two, they want to adjust the required number of school days for some of the school districts over there because a lot of the schools have either been greatly damaged or in some cases destroyed. So this is what I would call a clean bill. It does what it's supposed to do, not more, not less. We'll be keeping an eye on it throughout the week as it's going through the process. Every once in a while, somebody tries to sneak in what is called a committee substitute and put a little pork project in there. So we'll be keeping an eye on that and giving you a report this coming week on how this bill came back out. So that's one of the reports going on right now. We also had a few weeks ago when the floods happened, I was asking if people would like to donate to give to some of the churches that are providing relief to some of the flood victims. I'm happy to tell you we were able to give directly to those churches hundreds of dollars that patriots throughout the state sent in. And that has been delivered directly to them, 100% of what was given. But then this week I learned about a church that was providing relief that itself wound up being destroyed during the floods. It was a church over in Lost Creek, Kentucky, and it wound up being buried under 14 feet of water. The pastor is one of our current representatives, Representative Bill Wesley, one of the most conservative, Christian, solid people in the legislature right now. And I said, how can patriots throughout Kentucky help the church rebuild? He says we need two things in particular. One, people who have pressure washers that are willing to come over, help clean off the building so we can rebuild. So if you have a pressure washer, here's an opportunity to use it. First of all, I praise the Lord for any opportunity to use a pressure washer. So they'll need people who have those. And then he also said they need people who know how to hang drywall. They have the drywall, they need some skilled labor to hang that. Of course, there'll be a million other ways to help. If you would like to go help this church over in Lost Creek, Kentucky, then just give a phone call or send a text message to this number, 606-634-5816. That's the person who's going to be coordinating all of these efforts. And thank you all so much for how generously you gave. And I'm looking forward to seeing a whole bunch of people over there with me as we're trying to work to clean up this other church. Now let's talking about some charity efforts. There's a charity here in Kentucky called From the Hood to the Holler. It has been set up and run by Charles Booker. Now, Charles Booker is a former member of the Kentucky House of Representatives. He is now running for the United States Senate, trying to replace Rand Paul. Now, here's something interesting about Mr. Booker and this charity that he has set up. This charity, From the Hood to the Holler, he pays himself out of the charity money to run his own charity that he set up. Now, let's say that you decided to donate $50,000 to this charity that Charles Booker set up. How much of the money would go to the charity? The answer is, that's right, none. 100% of it would go to Charles Booker's own pocket because he pays himself that much. What if you donated $100,000 to this charity? How much would the charity get? Zero. That's right, they would get none. He pays himself more than that. This guy pays himself a whopping $150,000 a year to run this charity. Wow, talk about one of the, I think there's a lot of people in the state that would say this is a major scam, using a lot of legal loopholes to pay himself $150,000 out of the charity money. Again, all the charity money sent into us, we sent 100% of it directly to those providing relief. So that's something going on with the charity money. And speaking about sending money, here we had an emergency broadcast earlier this week, a special report about a re-election recount. One of the challengers in the 24th Kentucky House District had filed for a recount of the election results. A judge has to give the fee for doing this, and the judge said the fee will be $15,561. So I think it is very important, extremely important, for us to be able to trust our voting process, where we can open the books and do a recount where we can either verify the numbers are indeed correct, or we verify the numbers are not correct. Either way, every Kentuckian should be very interested, and let's do a double check and let's check this system. Whether it's good, great, or if it's bad, we need to do some work. Well, I am happy to report to you that all of the money has been sent in, and this recount is going to happen. It will be taking place on September the 1st. The candidate doing the recount is going to be able to be there, and we will look forward to giving you a very detailed report on what they found. Do they say the numbers verify the results, or do they say the numbers don't match with what we were given on election night? Because I had mentioned in the previous broadcast, here's some of the reasons why the count is at least somewhat suspicious and would warrant a double check. During the last primary election in the 24th House District, there was a total of 1,869 votes that was between all of the candidates. So all the voters voting for anybody, all of the votes put together were 1,869. Well, the challenger in the most recent election this year received 1,751 votes. The last time there's only 1,800 some votes cast. The challenger just got 1,700, and supposedly they lost. Yes, according to the Secretary of State, Michael Adams, the guy in power, he gets to stay in power because he was able to get more than 300% more votes than what they got the last time. Now, that would require an incredible voter turnout, which would be about 10% higher than the amount of people who show up to vote in a presidential election. So it is at least worthy of a recount to check the numbers. So thank you so much for sending this in. I look forward to having a recount. Let's either see the system does work or if it doesn't, and we'll give you the news after September the 1st on what they find. Let's talk about some of the other news going on here in Kentucky right now, and it's probably the biggest news, bigger than the re-election count, and that has to do with the pro-life issue. If you know, a few months ago, the United States Supreme Court reversed the Roe versus Wade decision, which allowed the decision of abortion to be up to each individual state. Kentucky said we won't have any abortions, but we had one liberal judge overrule the entire state legislature and said we will have abortions. But then the Kentucky Court of Appeals has just ruled to override that judge, so we don't have abortions again. So it's going back and forth. Did you know there will be an opportunity to get rid of abortions in Kentucky forever by changing the Kentucky Constitution? This November the 8th, on your ballot, will be constitutional proposal number 2. And that would say there is no right to an abortion in Kentucky law, and we would put it right in the Constitution. This way, no judge can ever say the law is unconstitutional because it's in the Constitution. Now, the liberal press is not talking about this at all. They don't want Kentuckians to know that we can forever end abortion in our state this November by passing constitutional proposal number 2. We want to vote yes for that. This is where you come in, dear patriot. Well, the press isn't going to talk about it, so you need to talk to people at your church, at your work, at your school groups, your parent groups, to your in-laws, your outlaws, people at the bus stop, everybody to vote yes on Constitutional Amendment Proposal number 2, the Yes for Life Amendment. Because the press is trying to downplay it, we need to protect life here in Kentucky, and here is our opportunity to end the murdering of most innocent among us forever in our state. So a huge piece of news, great news about the recount that will be going on. Some news about Mr. Booker, who's just taken $150,000 a year for running a charity. A lot of things going on at the State House during the special session. Things that you are not going to hear about on the other mainstream media sources. So until next week, I'm Lee Watts for Patriot Point, reminding you that liberty is not a spectator sport.